Gwaltney Group RE results. Welcome to Rochester Real Estate, featuring Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE results and Andy Brownell. Here's Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning. Andy Brownell, News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM with Robin Gwaltney with Gwaltney Group RE results. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning.
I hope you had a great Christmas.
I don't know if great is the word. I had a really nice Christmas, but it was a really weird Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, we normally spend time with, sisters and cousins and, get the whole big extended family together, and it was really weird. I mean, I should be used to it. We didn't do it at Thanksgiving either, but Thanksgiving isn't quite as big a deal, and it just felt different. But, hey.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And we did have our kids, so it wasn't just Scott and I. It was the five of us. Matt and Jenna and Brett. So it was fine. It was quiet but nice.
Very, very quiet. And
yours too?
Oh goodness, yeah. I like no other Christmas, really. It's kind of the aftermath of it. You come away with, I can't wait for next year.
Yeah, Brett came home and he's like, Mom, are there people coming? And I'm like, no. He's like, what is all this food for? I can't help myself. I said, nobody's going to be hungry this whole entire weekend.
At least the decorations were nice.
Yeah, thanks.
And so we move forward and we cross over to 2021 in a few days here.
Isn't that weird?
It is. There's a lot to look forward to. The vaccinations are going out. I've already had one member of my family vaccinated or received the first part of it. Yeah.
Good.
So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that is exciting. I am super excited. I think it's going to be, I tell everybody, even if I'm not the first to get a shot, I feel like I'm surrounded by people who have been getting them, which makes it safer for all of us, right?
Eventually, yeah. It's going to take some time, but eventually it's a step.
It'll be good.
It's a step towards it, at least. And I've heard some, hopeful predictions that by spring,
right,
things could be starting to look a bit more like we're used to. So,
yeah,
I'm very, very. Well, in the meantime, I understand you're still busy as all get out.
I was literally showing houses up until Wednesday.
Oh, good.
And I actually have appointments set up for Monday and Tuesday. So, yeah, it's not like a normal holiday lull at all.
So, just looking back to past holiday seasons, non-COVID holiday seasons, these would be days where you might not even venture out, or?
Correct.
Wow.
Usually I usually tell people there are two periods in the year. In a normal year, okay, I don't even barely remember what normal years look like, but in a normal year, I always say those first 2 weeks of June, believe it or not, you tend to see kind of a slowdown because school's just getting out. There's a lot of weddings being, happening. There's family reunions. I don't know. There's just whatever. But there's always two kind of calm weeks in the first 2 weeks of June, and then there's two quiet weeks at the last 2 weeks of the year is normal. But not so much this year. It was crazy busy all through June, and it's been crazy busy right up till the end.
The upside down year, we'll call it.
The upside down year, for sure.
I wonder if, trying to look out past this, and it seems so difficult to look past it because now it's been so many months we've been living in it, I guess what will shake out as far as real estate is concerned. I wonder if people have changed their perspective on these things that we're talking about previously in previous shows about, the larger homes. And I wonder how long that'll stick.
Can I tell you that, and I'm sure there's plenty of banks that have great deals going on right now, but Foresight Bank in Plainview has a 15-year conventional loan for 2%. Not 2.75, not 2.85, 2%.
I don't even know how to react to that, to be honest with you.
It is crazy. So do I think people are going to continue to buy those big homes? Yeah, and they better, because if they ever want one, there's never going to be a better time to do it than right now when you can lock in at that kind of rate. Oh my gosh, it's just wild.
You think about it that way, right? As far as the ability to get the money to do it and the payment wise, at 2%, you're never going to be able to buy this much square footage this cheap.
Oh my gosh, exactly. Along with it comes more taxes and, higher heat bills. So I'm not telling people they should buy outside of their comfort zone just because their monthly payment looks attractive. You definitely have to look at the whole picture. But for those people who have their sights set on that big expensive house, there is no better time than right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking in my head while I'm talking to you. I'm sorry we got kind of off on a track, but the last time I refinanced my house before we were able to pay off the mortgage, it was a 15-year. And it was 4.25%. And
you were jumping for joy.
No, we thought, well, they'll never ever get this low ever again. And here it's half of that.
And if we told a buyer now, you can get a rate for 4.25%, they'd be like, but I don't have bad credit. Why so high? Yeah, I mean it's all relative, no doubt about it.
Now, when we talked before about how much you could get, we were talking at 3%.
Right.
Now you take a whole other percentage point off of that.
Yeah,
is there any way to translate that into dollars?
So I always tell people for every $1,000 you are borrowing, okay, times that by the percentage rate. So, in other words, for every $1,000, it's going to cost you $2. Okay, so on your mortgage payment, okay, at 2%. Yep. So if you're borrowing $100,000, okay, do the math.
Yep, $200.
$200 monthly payment. Now that's just, of course, the
the mortgage payment.
But you still have to pay the interest, and that is the principal and the interest. You still have to pay the taxes and the insurance, so you have to add that. But still, I mean, we're talking so very affordable.
Your tax payment is going to be higher than your mortgage payment.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm just telling you it is. And so anybody, and I get it. There are some people who say, I don't want the hassle of owning a home. I prefer to rent. It's probably time to really sit down with your pros and cons sheets and start writing, why do I like to rent? What are the pros and what are the cons? Well, I can give you a little tip that the cons are every single month when you make that payment, kiss it goodbye, because you ain't getting it back ever. You're never getting it back, right? When you make that mortgage payment, it's similar to just making a deposit into your savings account.
Yeah, especially with the track record that real estate has as far as value is concerned.
And everything that's being forecasted for the foreseeable future is looking very, very positive in our real estate market.
I mean, the only thing I could ever think of to be a renter would be if I have no plans to be sticking around. But I'm here for 2, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months.
Right.
And I'm gone.
I think a lot of times people rent, and this makes perfectly good sense. They come to town, they're new to town, and they don't want to make a rushed decision as to where they're going to live. They want to learn about the neighborhoods. They want to learn about the schools in the particular neighborhoods. They want to learn about who lives in the neighborhood. Sometimes people say, oh, I'm a new doctor. I want to know where I want to live. And then I can say, well, I can show you some neighborhoods that a lot of doctors live in. And then he's like, can you show me a neighborhood where no doctors live? They don't want to live by the people they work with, maybe. And some people do want to live by the people they work with. So it's just different needs for different people. But sometimes they rent for a while just to get a lay of the land.
Yeah, I can see that. Get a feel for the community and know which part of town you want to be in.
I actually sold a house one time to a family, and they lived there a very short time, maybe 1 year, and called and said, we need to move. And they were Southwest, and they said, we need to move Northeast. Our girls are in gymnastics, and they're there all the time. And we're constantly running all the way across town to drop them, to pick them, to drop them. We just need to move over there.
We're going to Century Hills.
They moved. That's where they went.
Yeah, I bet it's right across the road from Jets.
Yep. That's where they went.
All right, Robin, we already have to take our first break. Goodness. We're going to continue chatting with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX results after this quick message on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Some gifts don't come wrapped in packages. With
Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back, Andy Brownell with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX results here on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. we're chatting about rock bottom. How many times have we talked about rock bottom interest rates over the last year or so, and it's gone
and they
lower.
Can't go any lower, and they
go lower.
They do, yeah.
So that begs the question, especially on the other side, not just buying the home. Those of us who are in our homes and still have a mortgage and are on the fence, about refinancing. Do you have any advice on how to decide when's the time to pull the trigger?
You know what? It's kind of a layered question because, it used to be pretty simple. If you can drop your interest rate by 1%, then it makes sense to do it because then the fees will be absorbed and you'll save it in the lower interest rate. But I think now people are gaining so much equity at such a fast rate that I think that becomes a pretty important factor. Because sometimes people continue to pay their mortgage insurance and don't realize that it will naturally drop off after, the 5 years or whatever it is. But it can certainly be dropped off sooner if you can show that you have your 20% equity in your home. So even if you had just put 10% down, if your house has now gone up by that extra 10% and you've got that 20% and you can remove that mortgage insurance, that might be a simple way to lower your payments. But also, if you have that equity and your loan is going to be on a smaller percentage of the value of the home, that might be another reason why. So there's a lot of things to look at. But what I would say, if you have any questions about whether or not it's time to refinance, definitely give me a call, or if you have a realtor that you have a relationship with, give them a call, or better yet, if you have a banker that you have a great relationship with, if you called me, I would just simply, I can talk you through the basics, but I would simply say, let's get one of these, great lenders that I work with on the phone, and let's let them know where you're at and what things look like and whether it makes sense to do that now. So I think definitely worth the phone call and the chat. Okay,
but if you don't have those connections, especially to a lender, calling a realtor like you yourself would be a good first step to.
It might even be better than calling the lender, and the reason being is that whichever lender you call is going to tell you what they can do for you and what they have to offer. We are out there in the field, and we know which banks are doing what because we have different clients shopping around. So we're usually on the ball and know where you can go and get your best rate today.
Wow.
Okay. And I had a client who just refinanced last week at Foresight for 2% on a 15-year loan, and that's why I know that. And I'm like, I'm going to tell everybody. That's amazing.
It is. I laugh every time we say it just because I still can't believe it. It's
incredible.
It's
fantastic.
Okay, the part of the equation, especially when you're talking about somebody who still has the payment insurance, the mortgage insurance, getting to that crucial equity stage to get rid of that insurance is such a big deal.
Oh yeah, you can sometimes pay an extra couple $100 a month on your payment.
So, determining whether or not you have enough equity to make it worthwhile, is that something a realtor can help you with?
Absolutely. I do that all the time. As a matter of fact, that home bot that I've told you about before.
Yes, I have it.
You can, yes, and that it'll show you, like, this is how much your house is worth now. This is what your balance is on your loan. You put those things in. It doesn't know it unless you put it in, but it keeps you always on the know. It's like exactly where you sit, and it's like, oh, it's time to call. I need to do this. And so I've had a lot of people call me and say, according to this HomeBot app that you set me up with, I can refinance. And I'm like, let's take a look. And then I do a CMA, and I'm like, absolutely right. And yes, you can. And then they go to their bank, and they're thrilled. So yeah, it's something that we can do for you. Absolutely. At no cost. Just at no cost and no, I'm not saying, okay, fine, I'll tell you what your house is worth, but now you're going to sign with me. I'm your agent. You're tied to me. There's nothing. There's nothing hidden. It's just a simple, this is what I do. This is my profession. And if there's something I can do to help you, whether you've ever met me and you're my past client or we're strangers, I'm here to do exactly that.
You've mentioned, and members of your team have told me that some of your best times are when you get that first-time home buyer in their home and they're all smiles, and it's just such a big deal. I imagine for a lender, the smiles they get to see after they do refinance at 2%.
Exactly. Or even getting those people financed who didn't think they could. They didn't think they could afford to get in. They had this preconceived notion that they had to have this huge amount of cash to get in, and might not be true at all. So there's so many different products out there. I mean, there's a lot of the banks in town that have doctor's loans. So these new residents that are starting out who don't have necessarily a ton of cash in reserve, they've just paid for medical school. They haven't exactly been stockpiling it. They can come to town and get a doctor's loan with 0% down.
Wow. And that's another aspect of this whole low interest thing that you just mentioned, and we haven't really talked about that the people, we've talked about the affordable housing issue. And we've kind of, on the periphery of this, talked about it, but you have a whole bunch of people who either were not able to get a mortgage or thought they weren't able to get a mortgage. But with these low interest rates...
Yes, it changes the picture. It absolutely, completely rewrites it.
So if you have folks out who are listening to this, and maybe a year or two ago, you explored this and you weren't making it for whatever reason, you might want to take another look right now. That's
absolutely right. Very good advice. And if you thought, my rates are really good, I only have a 3% rate, it doesn't pay for me to refinance, let's talk about it and see if it pays for you to refinance.
It might.
It might. Yep.
Especially, it depends on the size of your mortgage, I imagine.
Correct.
Okay. Very good. And how about, do we have a bunch of people jumping in for income properties at this point because with these low interest rates?
Yeah, there are a lot of people. And, sometimes when you get that would be considered a commercial loan because it's not your primary residence.
Sure.
So you do pay a little more. But I will tell you, they are even super great rates. We had bought that building in Wabasha recently, and our interest rate was in the 3s for a commercial loan.
Wow.
I mean, it was higher 3s, but it was still great. I mean, I was thrilled with it.
And then if it's income, that whole interest thing is a business expense. So
right, exactly.
It comes through.
Yeah, exactly.
It's throughput, or what do they want to call it? Yeah.
Yeah, but I would say that there's still a lot of interested investors out there that are still buying properties for sure, and with the rates being the way, that just makes them want them even more.
All right, we're going to take another quick break. Robin Gwaltney with Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results with us. Back in just a moment on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
This is News Talk 1340, KROC.
Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
I'm Andy Brownell, and I'm with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results, News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM. We got through Christmas. We're almost ready to start the new year. As we said, we're looking forward to 2021. I still can't.
For sure.
I can't get used to years that start with 20 yet.
I know.
I'm still dealing with that.
It's crazy.
Okay, so we kind of mentioned it, but we didn't really talk about it. What does your crystal ball see going forward into this brand new year we're almost at, as far as real estate is concerned?
Well, obviously I read a lot about real estate and the market, and I look at things on the national level as well as the local level. And honestly, in every market, I don't see any markets where they're talking gloom and doom. Everybody's feeling super optimistic that this wave that we've been riding in the real estate business. And, I tell you, I've told you before, I almost feel guilty because there's so many people that are having such tough times financially and such bad years and without their jobs. And I watch the news and I see these long, long lines of people waiting for food. And I think we are so blessed that our industry has remained so viable and so robust. Most realtors that I know have had their best year ever because of the rates and the supply and demand issue and the buyers out there in full forces. And I don't look for that to change anytime soon, and neither do most of the experts that I read and follow. So I think that 2021 is going to be another fantastic year for real estate. And I feel very confident to say that in our local market, but I think nationally, I think it's going to remain that way. But locally, our prices are going to continue to go up. That we're not going to have a big crash. Nothing's going to, it's like, we're sailing along. Is this going to be the same thing as happened? No, it's not. Everything's going to continue. The properties are going to continue to increase in value. It's going to continue. I don't know if you remember this, Andy. Maybe last year, I had stumbled across that article that said, actually it was a couple of years ago, because it said markets that are going to be unattainable by 2021.
I do remember that.
Yeah, and Rochester, Minnesota made that list. So, and in so many ways, it's right, because what they're saying is inventory is going to be short, and boy, they were very right in that prediction, and the values are going to go up at such a fast pace that it's going to be tougher to buy. Well, the saving grace, of course, has been that low interest rate, so our market is still attainable, but honestly, I'm not saying this because I'm a realtor, but get in it. Get your house. Don't be that guy that looks back and says, oh, I wish I would have bought a house back then when the rates were this. I wish I would have bought a house when you could still get one, or whatever it is. So I really think that 2021 is going to be a great year to buy real estate, a great year to be a seller, just as it has been. We're still going to see those multiple offers. We're going to still see those really strong offers. It's just going to be really good. I'd say all good.
Okay. Do you think we're going to return to a more normal cycle as far as the market is concerned? The spring and the summer.
I think
fall?
I think once we get some inventory going. Now, we had talked about how those building costs were so high, and that has come down some. And I've heard builders predicting that by spring it's going to be more leveled off, and building's going to pick up again. So if we have more inventory, that's going to calm everything down. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be unattainable, and I don't think it's going to be out of control. I just think it's going to be a great time to buy and sell real estate.
I'm amazed the homes that I'm seeing the young people get into, and because they are those who, thankfully, they're blessed too. They work in the healthcare industry, and,
right.
They have the means, and with the low interest rates, they're getting some great deals as far as if you look at it as far as what their monthly payments are concerned.
Right. If you look at and you have to live somewhere, right? So what's the other option? Paying rent. And rents aren't going down either, okay? So one might think, because it's so cheap to buy, the rental market must be going down so that they can keep attracting renters. But no, they're attracting people who haven't established their credit yet, or haven't made up their mind where they're going to be, or they know they're in Rochester for 1 year, or they just split up and they need someplace quick, or you know what I mean? It's not like it makes so much more sense to rent. That is not the case.
Well, regardless, you're going to have that rental market no matter what.
Of course.
There's a need for it, and it fulfills a need.
And my point is, it's not getting cheaper.
No.
As things go on. So it's not like people are saying, now it's going to just plain be cheaper to rent, so I'm going to rent. That is not the case. And
you're seeing, I think, that the economy here locally has a bit of strength to it, and that's attracting people.
Yes,
there's no
absolutely.
doubt about it. And you see the numbers that they're predicting over the next 20 years.
There are some have you seen that recent housing study that was put out?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. There are some very exciting things coming our way. There is no doubt about it. The growth is just going to be continuous and wonderful. I love it.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't, but I do.
Well, we're all reminisce about the good old days, right? But there's no such thing.
They're all good. They're all good. They're all what you make of them,
Right.
you know?
And the one constant is change. And I would rather
Yes.
be on the growth side of change than the other side of it.
Me too, Andy.
Because the other side's not a good place to be. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, we have our
Absolutely.
opportunities for our young people to be able to stay home and get jobs, good jobs locally,
Yes.
and raise their families here. And
I think you and I could literally be the official Rochester cheerleaders because we both just love this city so much. And I mean, it's easy to sell something that you believe in wholeheartedly.
yeah, it's pretty difficult to find some. I mean, if you want to go down to the microscope level, I'm sure we can find some serious flaws. But
Maybe flaws. I don't know about serious.
okay, man, you're right. That's true. Yeah, there are things that any community has to deal with, and thankfully they're at a far smaller scale here than they are in most other places.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, we all count our
there you
blessings
go.
as we
That's
head
my.
towards
So I was going to say that's my prediction for 2021, and a fantastic year for a bunch of fantastic people who live in a perfect place to live.
All right.
How's that go?
That's great. Well, Happy New Year, Robin.
Same to you, Andy.
And we'll talk to you next year.
Okay, sounds great.
Goodness gracious, that's hard. Well, okay. I'm looking forward to next year again. Robin Gwaltney with Gwaltney Group RE/MAX results here on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Mayo Clinic Radio on the House.